Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. It is time to begin our meeting for today. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, Ms. Rhonda. Here.
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 Present.
The first agenda item we have is executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Florida School District Policy 1.14A stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. In addition to the persons permitted to be present at an executive session under the Freedom of Information Act of 1967, 25-191, the attorney of the school district may be present at an executive session of the board of directors. Finally, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106(2)(c)(1) states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive closed session for discussing the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee. We are back on air. Next thing is public comments. We have Ms. Bernadette Conley. And if somebody can be the timekeeper for me. Oh, I guess I was supposed to read. Before you start, I forgot I was supposed to read this. It's been a minute. Citizens who desire to speak during public comment must sign in prior and will be called to the podium. Public comment is not a question and answer period, and as such, school board members and the superintendent do not respond to the public comments during a meeting. Further, citizens will have no more than 3 minutes to speak, and per Arkansas Code 613-619, will not be allowed to make comments that shall prejudice the board of directors concerning students or personnel's matters that could come before the board for disciplinary or employment considerations, or that is in conflict with other district policies or law. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Bernadette Conley, and I am here because of some concerns and things that I'm just hoping are really good for us for 2025. I watch all of your school board meetings. I don't miss a one. I listen to your comments. I listen at how you vote, who you vote for, or who you don't vote for. I have an interest in North Little Rock because I'm a taxpayer. I live in the Glenview area. Glenview is I went to Glenview Elementary School when it was Roosevelt. So, like I said, I watch a lot of your meetings, and this year I'm in hopes, and it looks like you're doing a good job so far, in equity across the board. I'm looking for equity for our teachers, for the children. All children are the same. I want to see equity for our principals, 25, 26, for the paraprofessionals, who does a very great job, and most of all, for the schools. I came here today with another situation, but God led me in another direction. He said, go on equity, and that's what I'm going to go on. As I said, I'm very observant. I attended North Little Rock Northeast 1978. I'm a retired para from this district also. There are great things going on in this district, and I think sometimes when we're on the inside, we don't see things that the public see on the outside. And so for equity is one of them. Every school in North Little Rock, be it elementary, middle, high, or the academy, should get the same treatment. Every child. If one child spits on a child at one school and he's suspended, a child spit on another student at another school, he should be suspended. So as I said, I'm watching. And equity to me is very important when it comes to our children, our parents. No two parents are alike, but they should be treated the same. My main focus are on our principals. They should be treated the same. I understand we do have policies that have to be followed, but if we're going to follow those policies, equity. Not one school is greater than the other. I don't care where it is. Not one principal is greater than the other. They all have children and staff to look after. No staff member wants to work under any pressure, not knowing it's the last week of school. Will I be riffed? Will I be this? Equity. So again, I'm watching the board. I'm not the only one in North Little Rock that watches your school board meetings. Communities come together and they talk. And so far, what I'm hearing, North Little Rock School District needs more equity. I'm looking for equity at the academy mainly. Equity. If one child gets suspended for fighting, send him to the academy. If another one gets suspended for fighting, send him too. It doesn't matter where he come from or whatever. So my eyes are on the board. The community's eyes are on the board. Glenview Elementary School. I love all the schools, but Glenview is my school. We love us some Mr. Kelly. He might not even know I love him. I don't even see him, talk to him, or anything. But I'm not going to show preferences. But my eyes are on Glenview. My eyes are on Meadow Park. My eyes are on Boone Park. Sometimes those are underserved schools, okay? Underserved. So the equity, the anything else needs to be focused on our underserved schools. I appreciate y'all hearing me.
Thank you.
And again, I'm watching. I am not the only one. I don't see Ms. Williams here tonight. Ms. Williams has been on this board for a long time. So let's not spite Ms. Williams or ignore Ms. Williams. I want her to be heard. So again, my eyes are on the North Little Rock School District, the school board. I'm retired. I won't be able to garden during the fall. So I will be making my rounds and listening to parents, teachers, and children in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. We're down to our first action item, employment of personnel.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, action item 5.1 is the employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept deployment of personnel as discussed in executive session.
It has been properly moved in second that we accept the employment of personnel. Being that it is employment of personnel, there can be no discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Is there a motion to move into workshop?
Madam President,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
so move that we adjourn and move into workshop.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we adjourn and move into workshop.
Okay.
Our first workshop item is construction, logistics, and operations updates.
So, Madam President, members of our Board of Education, as requested by the board, that every time that we have a school board meeting, whether that's a workshop or whether that's a regular meeting, that we provide the school board as well as the community and the public update. So, first of all, Colonel Steiner is going to give a high-level overview. Is that the wrong one, Colonel? Yeah. There's another one. So this is going to be kind of a two-part series. So the first part is Colonel Steiner is going to give a high-level overview, and then we'll switch to Mr. Smith. But could you fine gentlemen please state your name for the record?
Scott Stanger, Chief of Staff to the Superintendent.
James Meyer, Taggart Architects.
Billy Mayfield, Napolz Construction.
Stephen Fulton, Napolz Construction.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Madam Chair, board members, this is going to give you a brief overview from the big picture strategic level construction update. It says middle school, but there'll be some other projects where we are in contract negotiations. That's the purpose of the brief. Okay, currently we're gonna take a look at this and then go into the next 2 weeks projected. Our colleagues from Nabholz will chime in and give exact updates. This was produced early in the week, so we've already done some of this. The fencing has already been installed at the middle school. That designates a laydown yard, and then the end of the bus routing. Also, it surrounds the 500 building, which is the auditoriums that will be demolished first. Bus route meeting was held on the 30th, and that included bus drivers being there to do a mock run through that area. That area on the east side, we'll show you a picture in a little bit. On the east side of the North Little Rock Middle School parking lot that used to be open to the public and teacher parking, that kind of stuff, is now completely closed. It will be buses only and then contractor equipment. Building abatement started on the 31st and was completed on the 1st. It was a fast abatement, so that's done. So where we are on that is we're doing some minor stuff around there you'll see here in a minute, but that will lead into the next bigger phase, which is the demolition of that building now that the abatement is complete. Some old sidewalks are being removed, and there was the island, that's the best way to put it, a larger curb going down that parking lot. We removed that so the buses have an easier ingress and egress out of that parking lot. And then some temporary sidewalks for egress. You'll see some pictures of that for kids coming in and out, because the way the 6th grade will now come in and out off the buses is different because of the fencing. 14-day look ahead. The parking lot it's been restriped. That went faster than I thought, so that is complete. And you'll see a photo of that where the buses will line up. Still working on the walking canopy. There again, that's rerouting kids' traffic through from the 6th grade campus out to where they hop on the buses. The temporary wall in the media room, that will start next week. Gravel overflow teacher parking. Hopefully, I think that's going to be done by next week. It is ongoing right now. You'll see some pictures of that. So on the north and south side of the campus, since we are taking up a lot of the parking, teacher parking will be in the paved areas where the car riders, get picked up and drop off. However, overflow parking will be gravel parking that they are laying down right now, which is right next to the tennis courts on the south side, and that grassy strip on the north side that would be parallel with the football field, soccer field area. Yeah, so we're putting gravel down there, and so that's essentially a first come first serve. If you get there a little bit early, you can park on some pavement. If you get there later, you might have to park on some gravel. We are still in negotiations with Clark and CDI for the Old Main project and the sports complex. Really what that really means is we have submitted the language for the final edit reviews. A lot of it's the legalese. They have it in their hands. They're reviewing that. They'll send it back to us, and then we'll present it in front of the board for a vote. That should be happening pretty soon. And we're also talking to another vendor for an owner rep contract. They've submitted the proposals. We've tossed it back, and now we're going back and forth to see if we can do business with them or not. That one might take a little bit longer because the price tag is a little off. But we'll see if we can get there with them, and if not, we'll go somewhere else looking.
For the public, can you explain what the owner rep is, what it does?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, the owner rep is a day-to-day contracting person or people to handle the day-to-day business as an interface or representative for the school district to contractors and subcontractors and architects. So all of us have a day job. Nobody on staff has the license or the experience to be able to do that kind of work. And so when we have these larger projects, we also contract an owner representative that works directly for us with our interests in mind to do the day-to-day business on site and or change orders and just all the things that come in construction that you just don't foresee. They are the experts that have all that kind of institutional knowledge and the right licensing to be able to do that kind of work for us.
So lastly, and then I'll open it up to everyone else for clarity, for the 7th and 8th grade, pickup is going to be just pickup and drop off is going to be like it has, how it was last year.
And I think in the second presentation, Mr. Smith's going to go in detail slide by slide so that you and the public can see all of the routing or rerouting that will be taking place.
That's coming.
Okay, it's coming. Got it. Mr. Taylor, you have any questions?
No.
Ms. Markham?
I do. The walking canopies, are we repurposing those? I saw that we were removing them on the inside, like where we had the turf at. I saw that you guys were out there. Are we repurposing those or no?
Yeah, so the one that was running, I guess, parallel with the auditorium,
Yes.
that one is being repurposed for a temporary walk outside of our construction fence. So we've moved it over, and that's already actually been completed and moved over as of yesterday
Okay, very good.
or today.
I was going to say, we were just there, and they were taking it apart.
Yeah.
Wow, guys
Yeah,
move fast.
we did actually see you guys taking
Yeah.
it down yesterday, so that's
So-
why I inquired.
Yeah, so we're repurposing it for a covered walkway, just like it was before, except just moved over.
Well, you had mentioned that, and that's what I wanted to make sure, the clarification, that we're reusing something that we already had. We're just moving it to a different location.
That's correct.
It's not a new purchase. This is something recycle, reuse, and reduce.
That's correct.
So, very good. Okay, thank you for that.
Ms. Temple? I was about to go down. I forgot. It's just us.
Is there anything else did you want to show any photographs? I mean, they're all there. We're going to get into more detail with the
You're going to
next
see them
presentation.
on
next-
the next one, right.
Gotcha.
You're going to see the routing and everything. That is correct.
Colonel, I did want to say, great job of explaining all those logistics as it relates to all those compass points, north, northeast, south. Wow, I was trying to follow the direction of those.
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to go, towards Texas Roadhouse,
Got
towards
it.
Target.
Okay,
I'm a
okay,
landmark girl.
I'm gonna-
Towards the apartments.
I'll recalibrate my brain to get away from the.
That's what I need.
Okay, no problem.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Appreciate it. With that, now, part 2 of this will be Mr. Smith, Assistant Superintendent of School Improvement Network B, and both of our school principals, Mr. Clark and Ms. Hampton. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on Thursday before school opens.
Well, it's not going to work with me. Thank you, Dr. Paluski, Madam President, members of the board. As Dr. Paluski introduced us, this is Mr. Clark, Jacob Smith, and Ms. Hampton here to give you guys and the community an overview. The purpose of the presentation is to provide our school board and community with transparent updates on the construction of our new middle school, share how we are managing operations, and communicate how we are adjusting logistics during the phases of our building construction process. So, information delivery, how will we be keeping everybody informed? We had our open houses this week, so those have already been held. Mr. Clark had his all day today, kind of a stop and drop, and Ms. Hampton had hers in 2 phases yesterday for all of the parents to come in blocks of 7th graders and 8th graders. I don't know if everybody followed those directions because there was a lot of people there at the beginning.
It was a lot of people.
There was, but we got through it, and I think everybody was happy. Construction updates, obviously, that you just heard from Colonel Stanger will be presented at the board meetings. You'll really hear from us whenever there's adjustment to operations or kind of the day-to-day work that's associated with running school around a construction zone. And so that'll be whenever you hear from, like I said, my crew. The newsletters, our principals push out newsletters to their parents and kids and things like that. And so any important updates we'll push out through that. And then Dust and Shop with our social media and our website. Top 5 things of that nature. I believe we're also going to be starting a construction 1, 2, 3, where it touches on all of the construction projects that are going at that time to give the community an update. North Little Rock 6 additional 6th grade campus additional safety procedures. Mr. Clark.
Yes, thank you, board, Dr. Paluski. So what we're looking at is this is essentially safety procedures that we're looking at around the construction site specifically. We're going to constantly, with middle school kids, constantly remind them of the safety that we need to take around the construction site, which is the fence. Staying away from the fence, don't touch the fence. You can look, just don't touch. But the our safety procedures will be revisited. We're going to have to do it daily. Presence at the construction site before school, during school, and after school. We'll have staff members stationed throughout during morning duty, during lunch duty. In fact, we have made a procedure that as long as demolition is taking place, we will stay in the cafeteria for lunch. We are not going to come out and take the risk of something possibly coming from the demolition site into the courtyard area. I'm sure it's very rare, but we just don't want to take that chance. And then, of course, after school, we'll have staff stationed along the awning that has now been repositioned. They just finished that today. We'll have staff all the way up down the course of it, the new sidewalk that is being laid, and then as they get to the buses. It's going to be an adjustment for staff. With 6th graders, it's brand new. They don't know the difference. However, for our staff, we're going to have to get used to that. And then, of course, we'll be in constant communication with the project manager from Nabholz if there's any type of change that is taking place during the school day that we may have to adjust on the fly.
And then our additional safety procedures at the 7th, 8th grade. Ms. Hampton.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Paluski. So many of our additional safety procedures are similar to the 6th grade campus. One of the things that we're doing to assist our students with learning the new procedures around safety directly by the construction site is we're including these safety procedures in our first 2 weeks of school plan. So in our first 2 weeks of school, we teach students all of our procedures. We practice them, we model them. So we're going to be doing that during our first 2 weeks of school, making sure that our students understand what the expectations are directly around that construction site. You'll note that we have some things that are going to be different for students at the 7th and 8th grade campus. Number one, they're going to remain on the sidewalk. So our students are used to being able to walk through the turf as they're changing classes. We're not going to allow them to do that because if they get on the turf, they're getting too close to the construction site. So we're requiring that our students remain on the sidewalk when they have to make their transitions. Thankfully, students will only have to travel outside if they're going to the cafeteria for lunchtime or if they're going to the gym for PE. We no longer have any classes in the 500s, obviously, so we shouldn't have students needing to go that direction. We will have a few students who are going out to the farm, but we are routing them using the awning that 6th grade has repositioned. So that's going to really help us direct students' pathway. Additionally, we will make sure that we have teachers who are present at the construction site before school. We will have administrators and security in the area during lunchtime and during transitions, and then also after school. Mr. Clark's teachers will really focus on that, the courtyard area when we're doing dismissal, and then we will have 7th and 8th grade teachers all on the bus line. Our bus lane is gonna look quite a bit different, and for our 7th and 8th graders, this is a change for them because we trained them all last year that the bus line is one long line, and so as part of our first 2 weeks of school, we're going to retrain them that now our bus line is actually 5 lanes, and we have duty teachers in between each lane, making sure that the lanes get cleared before we allow the buses to pull off. Something that Mr. Clark and I are going to do, Mr. Clark is going to, I'm going to use my directions. Mr. Clark is going to stand at the north side of the bus lanes, and Mr.
The apartments.
No, that's the other side.
That would be south.
And then Mr. Robertson, assistant principal at the 7th and 8th grade campus, is going to stand at the south side. Both of them are going to get on the walkies and give an all clear. Once we've received an all clear from both of them, then we will allow the buses to pull off.
All right, thank you both. Important takeaways. Priority is safety. Obviously, everything we're going to do is built around safety. Open gate for our community will still be operational at all sites, and so we are adjusting entry and exits, really the entry process, and we've been involved with safety and chief and everybody to make sure that those plans are working, and we're gonna revisit it as we start and make sure that we get with it as seamless as possible. Guard will be present at the construction zone, which is an individual that will be mostly there for deliveries and things of that nature for Nabholz. They're a Nabholz employee. There will be no construction deliveries from 7 a.m. to 8:30 and from 2:30 to 4 p.m. So everything will happen during those times in which we shouldn't have a lot of individuals transitioning. We're exploring a temporary traffic light. We haven't fallen on that as an answer yet, but we are exploring it with the city. Billy from Nabholz is actually leading that with us to talk to the city manager to see if that might be useful and we could use it to just exit our buses all at one time. Construction zone safety fence is a semi-permanent structure, so this isn't a fence that's on stilts. This is a fence that's driven into the ground. It's very, very sturdy, and so nobody needs to worry about it tipping over or anything like that. The posts are actually driven several feet into the ground. Our traffic patterns we're working on, and then no cars in the bus parking lot whatsoever. So all teachers, all visitors to the school, nobody will be in that parking lot where the construction zone is. Okay, so this is our overhead site map. Miss Wonkum, right over there on the right side is where Texas Roadhouse is.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and so this is kind of an overview of everything. The orange area, I'm really not going to dive into it because we break it down by each piece so everybody can see it. But this is just kind of an overhead view of the entire 2 campuses. Our construction zone and our construction entrance is labeled there. There's going to be the job site office, and the box is pretty close to accurate. The actual box, if it represented the fencing, would actually extend, as the principals discussed, onto some of the turf. And so it does encompass a little bit of the turf, and they've relayed some of those sidewalks and awnings and things like that. But that is the main construction zone, the guard shack, and the entrance is the red line from the street. Sixth grade teacher parking is going to be right there, and there is an overflow piece to the left that you should be able to see, the 6th grade parent drop-off pickup. As you can see, they will only be able to enter from the neighborhood, and the flow will be much of the same as it was. Okay, 7th, 8th grade drop-off and pickup. It will be very, very similar as well. All the 7th grade and 8th grade teachers will be parking in the smaller parking lot that's at the front of the building, and then the overflow parking lot, which they said was laid today and is done, is right over there by the tennis courts.
Okay, this looks like 1 lane. Is it going to be 1 lane or 2? You know, we double.
It will still be 2 lanes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Our new bus lanes. So bus lane 1 is the actual lane that everybody is used to, where the buses and all the cars exit. 2, 3, 4, and 5 have been drawn in. That parking lot has been completely painted over, and so there are no more parking spots, and we only have bus lanes drawn on the parking lot. And so each one of the lanes will hold 5 buses deep, and so that will accommodate 25 buses at the campus. Not all of them get there all at once. And then as we get individuals, we're already aware that this is different, and we're going to have kids, and we're going to have to be very organized with the way we load and the way we dismiss, but it's going to be a very, like I said, structured process in regards to how we allow kids in that area. Safety, everybody's clear, dismiss. One thing that isn't shown is there is that island. You can kind of see the little black spot in front of lane 2. That island has been there, and Nabholz actually took that out. So all individuals can come right onto lane 1 and extend, which is why we are exploring the option of a light right there. So we can just dump our buses out onto the road and hopefully have an expedient dismissal.
Mr. Smith, but while we're on this, all of our buses have done a dry run in this new pattern, correct?
I wouldn't say, I believe all of the buses have done the dry run now that they are back on contract. Whenever we did it, we had about 15 buses that showed up for our mock run with Nabholz present whenever we did this, and Ms. Coleman was there. We were all there seeing, talking, figuring out what worked, and so this is the result of that collaboration with everybody so that we could make sure that we have a safe and organized situation as possible.
Is this 2 bus deep, 3 bus deep? How deep is that for?
5.
It's 5 bus
Each
deep?
lane is 5.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and then the teacher parking and overflow. This doesn't have the drop-off and pick-off pattern, but that is where the 6th grade teacher overflow parking is going to be. They've actually laid the gravel, as I said, and they've widened that fence area that's over there, so, and knocked out the curbing so individuals can just go right on it. And then, Mr. Clark, you have to correct me, wasn't there only a need based on our staff for about 20 spots?
That is correct, and they finished it yesterday, the gravel parking lot, and today when we had open house, we had all of our staff park either on the gravel or in the field to relieve parking for parents. We got 32 cars in the gravel area, so it can accommodate quite a bit. So it's well more than what we are going to need, so it serves its purpose.
And then this is the 7th, 8th grade teacher parking and overflow. As I said, we're going to utilize the smaller parking lot, and then the overflow is on the side of the tennis courts. Are there any questions, or does anybody need me to revisit any of the slides for clarity?
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Ms. Wonkum?
So, back on slide 4, it said that we're gonna keep the kids, away from the construction site. I agree. I'm all about that. But then it goes on to say during lunch and after school, the kids are gonna remain in the cafeteria for lunch. So if you'll go to slide 8, we'll just use that one. We have that big open football field and track. Why are we not letting the children utilize that area?
And
After lunch, they need exercise, they need to go outside, they need 5 minutes, they need vitamin D, whatever
the access to that area from the cafeteria would take time. We would have to come all the way around to get out there, and there are times where Miss Hampton has PE out there, and so
Ms. Wonkum, I believe only on those days that we were experiencing demolition was whenever they said that they were going to require them to stay inside. And so I think it's something we can absolutely talk about and explore as far as using that area. But I wonder just about debris, all of those different types of things as well, if just the safer decision isn't to be in there. But we can absolutely look at it and explore it.
So Dr. P, I'm going to talk to you for a minute.
Sure.
So last year I made a comment that I don't like that the children stay inside and they don't have a recess. These are 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders. They need exercise, they need vitamin D, they need to be able to go out. They need to exert energy. We talked about discipline issues. We talked about all kinds of assortment of concerns that I had. So with seeing and hearing that we're not fixing my complaint, if you will, from last year and the years prior, that I understand construction, but I don't want that as an excuse of why our children are not exercising, why our children are not going out and getting their vitamin D. I don't want that to be an excuse of why the kids are not leaving lunch to stretch their legs. So I'm concerned about that.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, so what I thought I heard was during demolition they wouldn't be allowed outside.
correct.
During demolition. So once demolition or the buildings come down and they're just removing the debris, kids can be outside.
Yes.
Okay.
And, yeah. In inclement weather is the only other time that we would
Sure.
keep them inside. So
Sure. So I think, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's,
And that's-
the overall safety is the first concern, but outside of that, once that's done, then absolutely. And we're, here's another thing. We're going to continue to monitor this day by day by day by day, and we're going to have to change things on the fly as things unfold. But yes, of course, that age group needs to be outside, needs to burn some energy in an appropriate way. But we're all going to be paying attention to every day the operations of the school, and we'll make those adjustments.
And
It's a good point.
And Ms. Wonkum, if I may, when I brought this up to my teachers, they were like, Mr. Clark, are they not going to go outside and burn any energy off? I was like, yes, they are. We just, during the demolition phase,
Just
we
wanna be
just
safe.
want to take safety first. So, yes, that's, our plan is to still give them that, which we try to carve in about 10 to 12 minutes of time where they can go out and have that time outside.
All right, we're good.
Do we have an idea how long demolition will last? Is that a
That's
week, 2 weeks, a
That-
day?
That's a previous presentation question.
Previous presentation question. The man of the hour.
Billy with Navels. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Approximate time of demolition.
How long would demolition take?
Oh, the demolition is going to take approximately 2.5 months. So we're looking to get started right after Labor Day.
So during that time, is it gonna be daily, or is it gonna be pieces, like, and then cart that off and do something else? I mean, so are we talking about 2 or 3 months they won't be able to be out, or intermittent during that 2 or 3 months?
No, the major, I guess, risk factor portion of demolition will probably be the first 3 to 4 weeks when we're taking down the taller portion of the auditorium. That'll be the highest risk. And we can look at if we need to net above the fence. We can also look at doing that just for safety factors on that end.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Okay.
We're good.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
So we're down to 1.2, the 2025-2026 opening of schools on Monday, part 1.
Yes, as you know, Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I'll ask all of our assistant superintendents to come forward. You know this is the most exciting time. Sunday night will be like Christmas Eve, and we're going to get started. It's like Christmas morning to me on Monday morning, as we'll be down at the bus depot. So, you know, ever since I've arrived, we've always done this, and that is to showcase to you and the public all the things that all of our staff are doing to make sure that we open successfully on Monday. So, if our 3 assistant superintendents could state your name and your position, then we'll get started.
Thomas Rogers, Assistant Superintendent of School Improvement Network A.
Jacob Smith, Assistant Superintendent of School Improvement, Network B.
Dr. Leanne Stoll, Assistant Superintendent of Network Support Services.
Superintendent Paluski, Madam President, and esteemed members of the board. The purpose of this presentation, we want to make sure that you all are well informed, along with our community, regarding the preparation and planning for a successful school opening 2025-2026 school year. As the Assistant Superintendent for Network A, I want to share some of the things that I've been doing since my arrival here to prepare for the 25-26 school year opening. I want to preface this by saying this by no means captures everything that I've done every single day, but it is a good summary of some of the major pieces of the work that I've been able to involve myself in as we prepare for the opening of the school year. First, I started with by attending a virtual Atlas session, data session with the Commissioner of Education. Dr. Paluski invited us to that virtually, and we were able to attend online with our superintendent. Also, I've had the privilege of collaborating in the Yonder Pouch meeting as we prepare for bell-to-bell, absolutely no sale this school year with my high school principal and team, and the middle school team as well was there. I was able to meet with my administrative assistant, who we share, Mr. Smith and I, in our office, Ms. Camper, to discuss the workflow and how things are done and how we want things to operate as we present ourselves in service to schools as 2 assistant superintendents. I've been able to listen and learn at the high school leadership meeting. Also, I've received training in some compliance pieces here in North Little Rock School District as it relates to the POs. I've also attended the Leadership Institute here, along with attending the Department of Education Summit in Hot Springs. And with my colleagues, we being forward thinkers, we've already brainstormed some ideas for our upcoming principals meeting in September, and we're certainly excited about that. And because I wanted to make sure I had a good grasp of the data for this district and how to support Network A schools for improvement, I met one-to-one with Dr. Reynolds because I wanted a deeper dive. I participated in the high-level overview big session that she did, but as I requested more information, she was able to meet with me individually, and I certainly appreciate Dr. Reynolds for doing that on my behalf. Always in planning and collaboration with my colleagues here, Mr. Smith and Dr. Stoll, we work closely together to make sure that all schools are getting what they need. And while I have Network A, Mr. Smith has Network B, and Dr. Stoll has our wraparound, We want to make sure that what we're doing is totally in service to schools, and we are aligned and we all have the same message as we share the work for our schools. I've met all of my wonderful Network A school leaders, and I'm excited to work with all 7 of those principals this year. In line with our work on culture and climate this year, with our superintendent has preached to us that he wants everyone treated with dignity and respect. We've presented to all of our principals this book that we will be studying the first semester, and it's entitled The Power of a Positive Team. We all understand that we can't do anything without a team. This work is not meant for us to do alone. Presented Welcome Back Culture and Climate to principals at the Leadership Institute, where I had all of them together with me, and we had a great time together, talking to each other, learning some things about each other. So I certainly enjoyed that opportunity. And attended my first initial cabinet meeting with my superintendent, Dr. Paluski, and my colleagues, so that was very rewarding for me as well. Another thing I've been able to do is attend the Association of Educational Administrators Conference, and last but not least, where you all, many of you all, were alongside us this week. We were scheduled to attend when I did this PowerPoint. Now I would have to change it to attended back to school welcome sessions at each campus
14.
with our superintendent. Thank you, Madam President. 14. And we were there together, and it was certainly a delightful experience as we welcome back our teachers in our schools in preparation for next week. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, sir. Alrighty, so it's been on Network B side, there's been a whole lot of construction planning, as you guys have seen, and we've communicated in the prior presentation, but there's been a great deal of meetings with Napoltz and Taggart regarding our planning and implementation of all of the construction going on at both the 6th and the 7th, 8th grade campuses. Planned and adjusted logistical and safety procedures for student safety. Moved equipment and furniture out of the 500 building to prepare for the abatement and the fence going up and then the eventual demolition. Helped plan, implement, and presented at the 2025 Leadership Institute. I also attended the AAEA Summer Conference, reviewed Atlas data with Dr. Paluski and Dr. Reynolds and my colleagues, the other assistant superintendents. Worked on with the middle school principals on the bell-to-bell no-cell procedures as well, and I copied our 6th grade procedures and our 7th, 8th grade procedures. Those are going to be mostly handled in the beginning classes and the ending classes, where our high schoolers and Dr. Rogers and Network A, their individual students have a little bit more responsibility at that age. We figured it would be best to keep those things kind of honed in at the local homeroom level, and then at the very end, right before dismissal happens, so we don't lose our pouches and things like that. Help guide new teacher orientation on the first day. Dr. Stoll did a great deal of work in regards to new teacher and the Leadership Institute. I really appreciate that and wanted to give her a plug, but I tried to get day one going, especially since it was all operations. Responsible for lunch for our new teachers on the first day. I wanted to thank Mr. Gender. I believe a lot of you guys were there, but he prepared all of that. We got donations to provide that, and we fed 150, probably almost 200 people in regards to that. So that was an endeavor. Working on all of our processes and procedures with the other assistant superintendents. Had my first check and connect with my Network B principals to address concerns, actively addressing HVAC, leaks, ants, all sorts of things. So really trying to get things in a manner so that schools can be opened. The Power of a Positive Team, the book study for both networks, and I believe in our first executive team meeting, Dr. Paluski has offered the idea of the entire leadership team using this as our book study for the first semester, and so thought it would be great for us to all be on the same page and be studying and having a conversation about the same material. Staffing ratios and monitoring and decision making. Working on science of reading processes and procedures, which is a big piece that's kind of changed. and professional development yearly rotation processes. In fact, me and the other assistant superintendents spoke on a couple of these items today to kind of shore up what we're going to present to Dr. Paluski as our final product.
I do want to say before Dr. Stoll gets started, please keep in mind Mr. Smith is doing all that while doing HR duty as well. So,
Also, since you mentioned Mr. Gander, can you tell the public how much we saved in food doing it the way that you did it this year?
Sure. Please.
So this year, last year, when I looked at the budget for new teacher orientation, we spent $15,000 on new teacher orientation. This year, we spent $0 on new teacher orientation. We got donations from the community to provide the food that Mr. Ginder cooked, and then we held the institute in our own high school rather than holding it at another facility like the Wyndham that we did last year. So we saved $15,000 on new teacher orientation.
Awesome. Good job.
Okay. Madam President, members of the board, I'm very happy to be here tonight. But before I talk, because my entire team is here, so I want them to stand up. They're going to be speaking to you later, but I want them all to stand up so you can see their faces. A couple are out from moving kids into college and illness. But everything I'm going to tell you on this list, I couldn't have done without these amazing people standing behind me. They are the backbone of everything I'm about to tell you that I did, because really we all decided every time I get a new job, they kind of all get a new job too, and they all jump in and support me. So I just want to say a big thank you, shout out to all of them. You're going to hear from them in just a minute. But so as I read you this list, you'll know that they are all, someone had a piece in every part of this. So coordinated and helped plan the 25-26 Leadership Institute for all of our district principals, assistant principals, and building leadership teams and executive team. Coordinated and helped plan the new teacher orientation, and I do have a big shout out to Mr. Smith because I had some other obligations at AAEA that I had to be there, and he stepped in and hit it on some of those days for me. We revised the 25-26 Professional Development Manual. We revised the 25-26 Special Services Handbook. Coordinated the Network Support Services Team Professional Development Calendar. Interviewed and hired the Network Wraparound Services Coordinator. We interviewed and hired 10 new Network Wraparound Service Specialists for Network A and Network B. Assisted in the placement of the Network Wraparound Service Specialist, and Mr. Smith left me. He was supposed to do my clicking. I said, can you click for me? And he left me. Scheduled instructional rounds and Cobra stats for the whole year for all of the campuses at Network A and Network B. Collaborated with Dr. Paluski and Dr. Reynolds on the 25-26 Atlas data. Collaborated with Dr. Paluski and Dr. Reynolds to revise the district school improvement plan matrix. And collaborated with Dr. Paluski and Dr. Reynolds to revise the framework for the school improvement plans for all campuses on Network A and Network B. Collaborated with curriculum team and the special services team on professional development activities for the first week of school, August 4th through 8th. Collaborated with the wraparound services coordinator for her new initiative for attendance called Be Here For It. It's going to be really cool, and we also have been working on some community partnerships, and you'll hear about those a little bit more when she comes up. And then collaborated with wraparound service professional development. One more. Interviewed and hired our new curriculum coordinator of science, outdoor education, and environmental literacy, and you're going to meet her tonight. Renewed all instructional licenses for curriculum and inventoried and purchased all necessary curriculum for the 25-26 school year, except for one more thing that's going to be coming to y'all on consent agenda next week, I hope. Scheduled all the principals meetings for the 25-26 school year. Collaborated with the curriculum team on the development of a district-wide response to intervention manual, which we call RTI, which is a huge deal for this district because we've been trying to get here for 5 years. So I'm really proud of the team for that. Collaborated with the curriculum team on the development of the non-negotiables for classroom teachers across the district. Ensured that all incoming special education kindergarten students have IEPs in place prior to school starting, and participated in hiring of special ed teachers and paraprofessionals, and I lied, I think I have one more. Attended all cabinet and executive team meetings. Attended the Arkansas Department of Education 25-26 Summit. Attended the AAEA Summer Conference and was nominated as Special Ed Administrator of the Year. However, I did not win, but it was still a great honor to be nominated, and that's why I had to be at AAEA, and Jacob had to sit in for me. Met with Arch Ford administrators to plan for the Professional Learning Partners Mentor Teachers training throughout the year. Collaborated with the Arch Ford Cooperative to plan the training for novice teachers for year 1, 2, and 3. And I just want to give a big shout out to Arch Ford. They came to our Leadership Institute. They stood up right along with my team to be announced to the whole district. And the CEO, I guess I'll call him, of Arch Ford even came, and he was just so excited about the partnership with North Little Rock. So I had to give a big shout out to them. We outsourced 8 speech language pathologist positions. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. So that we didn't hire those, we outsourced those to Synergy Rehabilitation Group, saving a great deal of money for the district, and held team meetings with the network support services coordinators. And I think that is all for me. I'm going to turn it over to our first coordinator, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. And y'all can all come
I
up.
was going to say, you want to have just have them
Why don't we just
order?
go in threes, and then y'all can swap out.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Paluski. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Carmen Langston. I'm the coordinator of Reading, English Language Arts, and Literacy, pre-K through 12. So I tried to keep mine to 2 slides as well, and like Dr. Rogers, this is a snapshot. So the past few months, we have been working on providing training. I provided the training for kindergarten through 3rd grade phonics, so training 20 new teachers in that session, and 4th and 5th grade word study, training 15 new teachers in that area. And then I trained the P12 principals and network support specialists on our new RTI procedures and manual. Then I organized the training. I did not provide, but I set up and organized the 4th and 5th grade reading comprehension with the CATE program that we have, the 3rd through 5th grade writing with Wit and Wisdom, our coaching and leadership for network specialists. We brought in Dr. Lloyd Sane, and that was very exciting for them to get to work with him, and they learned a lot. It was a great session. For 6th through 12th grade secondary literacy, we did the My Perspectives ELA curriculum training, Read 180 curriculum training, and the 6th through 12 social studies curriculum training. I also had to inventory and order all the curriculum for this school year. So that involves going out to each school and counting one by one all of the workbooks that they may have left over so that we do not double purchase and stack those buildings full of workbooks that are not being used. So we try to be good stewards of the district's money and go through and look for any overages that we might have so that we can save money where we can. There we go. I created some documents for our school district this year. Those would be the RTI manual. We collaborated together as a team to create that. And then I created the K-12 ELA pacing guides. There are 13 of those. And the K-12 ELA year-to-glance documents. There are 13 of those. And I just put in there an hourly rate if you were to hire out for that. People usually charge about $50 to $75 an hour, or a flat rate of about anywhere from $1,000 plus. So I feel like that was a cost savings for the district as well, that we can do that in-house. Also created the kindergarten through 5th grade literacy non-negotiables documents to let the principals and the teachers know what it is that we must ensure in those elementary literacy classrooms. Also the 6th through 12 literacy and the 6th through 12 social studies non-negotiables documents. We created the opening of school slides and scripts for contacting parents and communicating the importance of literacy. We are a part of the Community of Practice grants this year. We got $160,000 in a grant to be able to communicate to our families the importance of literacy and reading at home, and their availability with the Read at Home tutoring grants that will be coming out soon. So we are going to be good stewards of that money as well, and ensure that we can stretch it as far as we possibly can to get the importance of reading out to our community. held collaborative meetings with the North Little Rock High School principal just to sit down with her and see what is her vision of success for that campus this year and how can we support them in being successful. And then we sat down once again with the high school assistant principals so that they could get an overview of the curriculums, getting their comfortability with what does it look like to go into an ELA classroom and what should my perspectives lesson look like? What should I be looking for to ensure that those teachers are implementing that curriculum with fidelity? Went over the non-negotiables document with them, got their feedback on that, and made any adjustments that they asked for. And then I also attended my own trainings, learned a lot about AI in the classroom this year, and have been spreading the news for how we can save time using those different types of programs. I attended curriculum trainings, intervention trainings, and more. And I'll pass it to Debbie.
Thank you, Dr. Paluski, Madam President, and members of the board. It's an honor to be in front of you as the pre-K-12 math coordinator for the district. I want to mention there will be some overlap in the things that we have done, and I think that just shows our collaborative effort as a team to work together to ensure that the message is the same for all of our teachers and it carries over to our students. So first of all, it's the pacing guides and year at a glance. That has always been a work in progress. I did request feedback from teachers. So late spring into the school year, those documents, a skeleton for the upcoming school year was provided and requested from the teachers to meet with your teams, go through it, what tweaks, what feedback, changes that they would like to see with the pacing guide, and then took those and then created the documents for the pacing guide. The year at a glance is a one-pager that shows overall each content area at every grade level, what is being covered. Obviously, it's the grade level standards that are in that document to show the emphasis and when it will occur throughout the school year. Prior to the Atlas testing is definitely the goal, which is why the pacing guides are so critical, that when we see all of the content that we must cover at each grade level, how is that approach going to occur where by the time we get to the spring summative assessment, the standards have been covered, especially the bold in the Atlas toolkit, or excuse me, the blueprint that's provided from the state. So that's always a conversation with our teachers. Created standards alignment for accelerated math pathways. This is an exciting thing that we started in the spring, and we had a presentation about the accelerated math pathways and kind of the direction we're going. We're actually a little ahead of the state in terms of, that was the information that I attended, and a little road I'll mention the summit that I went to, and those conversations to lead into where as a state we hope to be. North Little Rock is ahead of the game there, and that is definitely going to provide opportunities for our AP students as they move through the secondary level. So excited about that work. And that leads into confirming the math placement at the middle school level especially. That's the first time we can go from a Math 6 to an Advanced Math 6 in 7th grade, but then when you hit 8th grade, and some of our 7th graders that are ready for that information, they have opportunities to really excel through our accelerated program. And so there has been a great amount of effort in the placement in that program and strong parent conversations. I was at the 7-8 open house last night, talked to various parents, once they receive their schedule and they see what their student is enrolled in, just that conversation to follow up with them, because that knowledge of the flow chart of math and what this means for their child and the multiple entry points to those accelerated pathways, I think was very beneficial for our parents to hear that and understand kind of what it means in the future for their child. Attended collaborative meetings. Dr. Brooke Reynolds, Ms. Langston and I met with her about CFAs and the Atlas portal early in the summer, because we want to ensure that our teachers are using the Atlas portal for those checks for understanding throughout. Coming from the Atlas portal, that's going to lead into the questioning they're going to see on the summative assessment in the spring. So we just put another emphasis on that as we continue to build those CFAs. High quality instructional materials, HQIM, the EM squared from the elementary level, the math training, the observational models, the intervention. It's critical that we continue the emphasis not just on the fidelity of using, but the integrity in using our HQIM. So we're not just using it, we're deep in the work taking it to that higher level with integrity. Our teachers are using that to really push our students at that DOK level of questioning that they do see on the Atlas summative test. The HQIM, the SAVIS rep, and the secondary math training with the observational model and the workbook implementation. That is a pretty big purchase in the district for the workbooks that go along with SAVIS, and that is one we're really stepping up our game there in terms of not just encouraging but insisting. That's one of our non-negotiables. Our students need to have that reference to the learning right next to them, the note-taking that's available to go along with the digital platform. I really do believe is a game changer. It is something that we have been using, but once again, it's no longer, it's a non-negotiable. I think it's necessary to up our game to really change that opportunity for students when they're outside of the classroom. And then Dr. St. Louis, we met with her once again to talk about the North Little Rock High School vision. Met with the leaders at the high school to discuss the HQIM, the non-negotiables. But more importantly there, as always, we want feedback from the building leaders. It's not just a document that we created, handed them, and said, make sure that we're doing this, but what are your thoughts? One thing I really appreciated with Dr. Paluski in our presentations, or his presentation in our 14 school campus tour, was when he showed the expectations, his question was, are any of these unreasonable? And that's kind of the approach with the non-negotiables. There's nothing here that's unreasonable, but give me some feedback. What's working, what's not working? We can't keep doing the things we've been doing and see change. So that's definitely an emphasis. Provided guidance during summer math planning. I attended all of the different levels of secondary math. The elementary typically met at the after-school PD that was provided by the district. Our secondary do their planning and schedule it on their own. So I was a part of, didn't lead that. I let the leaders lead that, building that capacity within the campuses, but was a part of and was available for questions and to, guide them as we're discussing our next steps to really move our students. So that was at pretty much every math level. Focus on the essential standard alignment, the data analysis, and the diagnostic tools that are within our resource so that we are hitting the needs of students individually. It's targeted, it's adaptive to responses. At the same time, we're building them with grade level content. Attended the Network Instructional Specialist meeting, which was the leadership and coaching that Ms. Langston referenced with Dr. Sain. Very exciting to meet our Network Instructional Specialist leaders on the campuses and their excitement in just taking everything, being a sponge to kind of how do we see this model working when there's 3 of us and we want to build that capacity within our NIS on the campuses. So that was a very productive training, and Ms. Langston set that all up for us, but I was very appreciative for that and to be able to attend it. The Summit Conference in Hot Springs, and I highlighted every possible math intervention, accelerated learning, instructional strategies with the HQIM because those definitely are the hot buttons in math that I really feel like are going to continue to move our students. And it's not just our students that need that support that are below grade level or there's gaps in learning, but it's also our accelerated learning pathway where we're challenging and pushing our students across the board, regardless of what level they are at. Coordinated the new hire teacher training. I did facilitate the secondary SAVIS training with our new teachers, and then for the elementary, I was on the front row picking up everything I can with the Eureka Math Squared, and excited to work with our elementary teachers. And then inventoried, ordered, and distributed all the curriculum materials for the 25-26 school year. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Paluski and Madam President and distinguished members of the board. I'm Dr. Mandy Carmichael, the new member of the team. So I'm the Science, Outdoor Education, Environmental Literacy Coordinator, and I'm excited to be a charging wildcat here at North Little Rock. So in my 16 days of being here so far, I've learned a lot, and probably the highlight is working with these ladies and the team behind me. It has been very supportive, as well as the 14 tour of homes, and it's truly homes. So I started to say tour of schools, but it's truly a home, and the energy that is at every one of those campuses, supporting their staff, everyone there from paras to secretaries have been absolutely welcoming to me, and I just can't brag enough to be a part of this Charging Wildcat family. So when I walked in the door, coordinating materials and supplies, and there was a whole lot that's there of all of the kits and the books. Dr. Stoll did warn me that there's a lot of boxes everywhere. So where do the boxes go and who do they belong to? So that was step one, sending out a survey to the elementary principals. What do you need? Can you take it? You know, they said, wait till the teachers get back. And so I've been flooded this week of, hey, I need these 16 books or this different pieces there. So making sure that they have those textbooks, the non-consumable materials and the consumable materials. There's no good in doing it in my office. I need it in their hands and in the kids' hands. Coordinated training for newly hired science teachers with adopted resources. And the HMH platform is thorough. And I'll just say that I was doing a workshop at North Little Rock 6 earlier this week. In lesson 1, there are 65 resources just in Unit 1 of 3rd grade, like for one lesson. All of the resources, whether it's the readers, whether it's interactive, whether it's the kits, they have all the resources, and it's sorting through it. And so that's what I'm there for, support of what works best for you. And let's continue that dialogue. So the comprehensive science curriculum development review. So once I got this job, let's dive in. Where are the strengths and where are the areas of concern? Across the board, from kindergarten to chemistry, the life science standards. And I don't know if you've looked at any of the next gen science standards. You could get a doctorate on just one of those standards. Like, they are so dense. So really looking and driving down what are the areas that we need to work in. Life science standards were our strengths. That's pretty typical because it's stuff that we can see. We can see plants and animals. We hear about environment. Earth science standards, that gets into a little bit more depth and some math that goes along with that. So that's the area of concern. Develop and recommend intervention for each science standard and the performance level descriptors. So in each of those performance level descriptors, the state released those last September after they'd already given one of the Atlas exams, but I wasn't in charge of that. So the performance level descriptors from 3rd grade through biology says what a level 1, what a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4. The message that I'm sending home to everyone, our target is level 3. We have to be assessing and teaching at level 3. If we're not, we're missing the mark. If we're staying at level 1 and we're teaching at level 1 and we're assessing at level 1, we're going to stay at level 1. So we've got to move that. So what I did is I went through and Dr. St. Louis had asked for an intervention for each one of those standards. So I went through and I said, it's not the gospel, but here are some ideas, because we have a lot of brand new biology teachers and they need somewhere to go. So I gave that to them. As far as the environmental literacy and outdoor learning, I did register with the Arkansas Environmental Education Association, and I was selected to serve on a grant review committee. I think that might be I'm a sucker, and they're like, hey, do you want to do this? Sure. If I can do that and review grants and possibly help us write grants for our staff, absolutely. Network with the Arkansas Department of Agriculture to support future initiatives with the district. I have a meeting with Ms. Tell on Thursday of next week. So we'll do a tour of gardens around. So how can they help us? And then collaborating with Indian Hills Elementary, they reached out and wanted to know, they said that the greenhouse had a sad death. So how can we resurrect it? So I'm gonna look for some potential grant funding, what they can do. All right, that's a recap of my 16 days.
Great job.
Thanks.
Great job. Okay, we'll bring in the next 3. Dr. Stowe, you want the other next 2 coordinators behind Ms.
Hi, I'm Sarah Robertson. I'm new to the district, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for letting me come talk to you. I think I have the best job here because I get to work with these people. They're remarkable. These are our RAPs, what we're calling them, the wraparound specialists. I'm the wraparound services coordinator. I wanted to go through and just tell you where everybody is this year. Mr. Box is at both middle schools, 25% at each, and then 50% at Meadow Park. Marcy Daniels is at the 6th grade campus in NLR6. Brandy Amberg is at the 7th and 8th grade campus. Kristen Valley is at Amboy in Boone Park. Mr. Toombs is at Crestwood in Indian Hills. Tricia Harris is at Glenview and Lakewood. Ms. Sims is at the North Little Rock Academy, as well as helping with the pantry. We're hoping to revitalize the pantry this year. Ms. Ballard is at the Center of Excellence. Ms. Hughes is at North Little Rock High School. Ms. Robinson is at Pikeview Early Childhood and Ridge Road, about 25% and then 75% Ridge Road. And then I'm so excited that Charmaine Easter is going to be the district pantry coordinator and is helping us really ramp up the pantry. Here's what we're working on. So we have been coordinating direct family support. We created a back to school needs tracker based on some social media posts as well as outreach into the community. We've tracked and supported for supplies, haircuts, uniforms, and backpacks. And we've matched families with the RAPs at their schools for follow-up and delivery of services. We're currently working with 39 families. I just looked, and so that's been great. We've launched community-based events. So we are trying to do more than just show up to the events, but really provide outreach for the events. So we put all community events that we know about on social media, worked with our marketing team, helped organize and promote back to school resource events, letting families know where they can get resources, provided backpacks, school supplies, and free haircuts. There's some really great stuff going, and shared the Clear Backpack guidelines. We will be at Sherman Park on Saturday, and then we will be at the Jamboree on Sunday this week. We mobilized language access, so we're dipping our toe into doing targeted volunteering. We recruited volunteers for interpreters for the first week really of school, prioritized Ridge Road, Boone Park, and the secondary campuses, and shared guidance and talking points with volunteers to ensure hospitality in alignment with the interpreters that we have at those schools. Equipped and organized the RAP team, so we led a 3-day onboarding for all the wraparound specialists. Our topics were team culture, integrated attendance support, applied school-based practices. We created a scope of work tool to help the RAPs understand the difference between their job from last year and this year, a decision-making flow chart to see what is a wraparound service and what isn't, and a school day scheduling resource so that each of the RAPs, though they're managing 2 to 3 schools, can really source them. We developed personalized calendars based on school schedules and district priorities, and introduced resources sharing and really trying to align across the district, which includes some PD that we just did with the counselors, and we're also doing PD alongside the attendance clerks working with Ms. Hale.
And that's me. Okay.
Can I pause you just for a second?
Sure.
Thank you. Congratulations and thank you.
Oh, thanks.
This has been needed. I'm so beyond emotional right now. Thank you. This is exactly the picture I had for someone in this position. Thank you. I know the need is great. Thank you. I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you. Oh my gosh, we needed this.
Well, I'm so glad. I will take full your welcomes when I do it.
Oh my gosh.
We are so lucky to have the team that we have. These people have been doing this work in the district, and I am so incredibly lucky to be able to work alongside them. So thank you for creating the position and for hiring all those great wraparound specialists.
Finally.
Ms. Walker, I just want to say, and I've met with their entire team and Dr. Stoll, they're just getting warmed up about the collaboration with their team and the ideas and truancy, and it's, stay tuned.
I can't wait to come back. Sorry, Tiffany.
Oh, you're fine. No, you're fine. I work very closely with Ms. Robertson as well, and we've even been asked to speak at a state conference and show our model. You haven't told you yet, but there you go. We've been asked to present our fusion program and our wraparound services model. So, and that's in October, so we'll keep y'all posted on that. But I'm Tiffany Randall, Coordinator, Student-Centered Support Services. And I have planned and held the registration fair on July 14th, where we enrolled approximately around 700 students. Revised and edited, you guys know, and finalized the parent-student handbook. That was a majority of my summer. I've seen y'all a lot this summer. Ordered and distributed Yonder pouches to all secondary campuses, and I've made my Facebook debut today. You'll see it when you leave here tonight, of a video today demonstrating and talking about Yonder pouches with Dustin Barnes in the communications department. I've coordinated meetings and professional development with the Yonder Pouch representative, and train new 504 designees at the high school. All the deans will be separating that out at the high school and the COE, and I've trained them on our practices and procedures. And then I've reviewed and updated everyone's 504 caseload of all the new incoming students for the district. Supported families daily with registration issues and making sure that anything that they need involved with registration, they get what they need. I've held transition conferences. We have students transitioning out of day treatment back to their home campuses and to ALE and vice versa, ALE out. I've helped with those transition conferences. I've secured memorandum of understandings, MOUs, with our local mental health providers, and have made the RAPs a spreadsheet of all the ones that we have MOUs with, and even linked the referral forms so they have everything accessed, contact numbers of the different mental health providers, so it's all there for them in one document. I've trained the new ALE teachers at Glenview. They have 3 ALE teachers. While they're not new to education, they're new to ALE, so I've trained them and on ALE protocols and procedures. I attended also the Department of Education Summit Conference and got some really great resources there as well.
Dr. Paluski, Madam President, members of the board, I am Heather Theodore, and I am Advanced Programs Gifted and Talented Facilitator for the district. This summer, I attended a Gifted and Talented Coordinator Advanced Placement Trainings through Arch Forward in the Arkansas Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Ongoing collaboration with DESE about the Acceleration, Common Sense, Cost, Eligibility, Scholarships, and Standardization Act, which is also known as ACCESS. It has changed. It will change a lot with the advanced programs and AP courses offered in our state. Ordered advanced programs curriculum for environmental science and U.S. history. Ordered self-directed opportunities, achievements, and rewards. That's our new SOAR pathway in the high school. Ordered those pathway student materials so they could have them before school started. Prepared and planned professional development for K-8 GT facilitators. Prepared K-5 enrichment curriculum. Assigned all GT teachers to buildings, evaluating caseloads and determining where teachers could be split between campuses. Inventoried all gifted and talented and advanced placement curriculum. Attended the Leadership Institute in preparation for the 25-26 school year. And I am also preparing to teach my own 2 seminar classes at the 7-8 campus. And that also included moving my classroom out of the 500 building because it was being demolished. So that was about all I did.
Yes. Sorry, not sorry.
Thank you, ladies.
Who's next? Yeah. There you go. That's you. That's you.
Dr. Stoll, do you want to have the other, which would be your special services will be next?
Yes, special services, y'all come on up. I am doing Miss Marshall's slides tonight because she was here, but if y'all saw her while she was here, she was out this morning, she was coughing and hacking, and she said, I can power through this. I said, please go home. We don't all want to be sick, and I will be happy to do your slides for you. So bear with me. I might not be able to answer questions as well as she could, but I will get the answers if you don't know them. So Ms. Marshall led ESOL scaffold and strategies professional development for high school teachers. She disaggregated the data for ESOL data, and I just want to, just a big shout out to that. Our ESOL students grew. That was the one group that grew in our Atlas data across the board, largely due to her efforts. So I just wanted to say that. And that's that data she's talking about that she dug into. She led a 2-day curriculum workshop for the K-5 ESOL staff. She prepared Title III budget, which is where all of our ESOL funding comes from. She ordered curriculum resources for 25-26 school year for world languages, Chinese 1 and 2, and ASL. If y'all didn't know, we offered those in addition to our normal Spanish classes. Grades 6-12 ELD, supported ESOL professional development at Archford. She attended the Arkansas Department of Education DESE State Conference, which is the summit, and she focused in on new laws, policies, updates on curriculum assessment, instructional techniques. She also attended AAEA. She arranged to have 17 interpreters at our on-site registration fair, which was huge because we didn't have one family that went without someone that could translate for them. And they were volunteers from Arkansas State, I believe, that were in that program. Beginning of the year ESOL professional development for ESOL staff, ESOL overview presentation for schools, and supported day 5 of the New Teacher Institute Professional Learning Communities with Solution Tree, which was the day I was supposed to facilitate, but I sat in on interviews for Colonel Stanger, so she handled that day for me because there's only one of me. Then I'm going to give this over to our SPED staff, and I can't be a clicker.
Okay, is mine on? Am I on? Can you hear me? Dr. Paluski, Madam President, and the rest of the board members, I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm anxious and eager to tell you all the things that we've done. But what I want to say first is I want to thank all of our team because none of this could have happened if we didn't all work together. I am so excited about how we've divided this up and come together to conquer. So, as far as staffing goes, we have assisted the building principals with hiring and placement of new SPED teachers and paraprofessionals. I want to say a couple of things. We are interviewing all eligible applicants, but I will say this, we have had many applicants recommended, some even board approved, but left because of the salary. And I know that's nothing that we can solve today, but that is the main reason that we have lost several applicants. It's really disheartening because when you go through the whole interview process and you're on the phone with them, etc. So we have been working diligently. I know we're still short. I have an interview scheduled on Monday. So we are trying to fill the shortages and believe we have beat the bushes and we put out the word to all of our teachers. I just want everyone to know that we're doing our best to get everything for the students, which absolutely need that. And we have been, and I say we, but mostly Dr. McGill and Ms. Beasley have been working with Kyla Lawrence at DESE with the SPED apprenticeship program. There's a lot of moving parts with that. I know we have 3 employed right now that were paraprofessionals. We have 1 at 6th, 1 at 7-8, and 1 at Boone Park. And we're really excited.
And we hope to have 1 more, hopefully, tomorrow. I'm working on it.
That's what I'm saying. We're working all the time on that. And as far as compliance planning, we have reviewed and updated caseloads, service schedules, and program placements for our SPED students. I've met with the school psychology specialists. They're reviewing their caseloads. We've met with our teachers and our designees working on those. I will say this, preliminary, we are at capacity, especially in elementary with caseloads. I don't know if you know this, but SPED teachers are only allowed to have 25 students. That means 25 folders. They can teach more. It's difficult, so someone else has to hold that folder. And it's also difficult to work with 30 kids and all the different schedules. So I just want everyone to know that we are literally at full house. Now, after we don't know about the 10-day. Like we'll wait and see. But it could be that we're going to have to find more people, which is going to be hard. But just for FYI. Go ahead. What were you going to say? Oh, We have been looking and conducting audits of our IEP records and our medication documentation, or Medicaid documentation. We have a Medicaid person in our building. We work with her daily, and we work on our records all the time. We are getting transfers in and reviewing those records, also sending them to the buildings, and helping the transfer people where to go and what to do. We're working on, but we have completed SPED placements for our newly enrolled students, and that's mostly on the next thing, because we've done all the early childhood transition conferences. We work from March until probably the end of June or middle of July, working on getting our kindergarten transition students into a classroom, making sure that we have all the records, getting them in the best placement possible for them. And we probably did about 80 to 90 students, and these are students in our district that are in preschool, but there's also early intervention private institutions that we work with. So I know I organized that, and we probably had about 65 or 70 minimum. And we still have people coming in that did not participate because they've changed their mind. If they wanted to, with waiver, they might have changed their mind and they're coming back. So we'll be holding more conferences really soon on that. As far as professional development, we, as a team, coordinated our PD sessions on inclusion. We had really good feedback from that, from the teachers. We coordinated with DESE with the high school, and that's the entire staff, not just SPED teachers. Anybody who had any interaction with students was required to attend a DESE PD about IEP accommodations. That went really well. They were excellent listeners. People were asking really good questions, and I think it's going to help us overall. Instructional readiness. Ongoing collaboration with campuses to ensure services are aligned with student needs. That's always our goal. We organized PD for special services staff and SPED teachers for our new RTI manual. That's it.
I'm Katina Beasley, and I'm the Special Ed Curriculum Coordinator. So I have inventoried the SPED curriculum. I have been looking over the updated pacing guides to see how we can align our instruction for our students to take Atlas. I have met with the SPED curriculum providers to ensure our new teachers have access to our curriculums. I'm continuously updating our caseload and reviewing paperwork for our kindergarten transfer students. And we have a couple of students that are returning, so to just make sure we have the correct placement for them. On Tuesday, I met with the elementary self-contained teachers, and we discussed caseloads, paperwork, lesson plan instruction, which then led me to start creating lesson plans for our new teachers, as well as working on a plan for the self-contained classrooms where we do not have a teacher, as I will be the folder holder for those classes. I've contacted our students who attend the deaf and blind school, because if those students are in our district, we provide transportation. And so I have reached out to those parents to make sure that they will get transportation on the first day. I've also been working with EARS, which is our service provider for our hearing impaired students, and working on that caseload to make sure that our students receive their hearing aids and everything that they need for that. I'm updating our homebound caseload to make sure that our students who are, have medical homebound services, that they get support from our homebound teacher, it's our SPED virtual teacher, Mr. Campbell. I've sent on interviews for SPED teachers and paras, and I have been working with our due process designee to help coordinate training for our new teachers and SPED paperwork and due process and all of that. So,
Miss Beasley is amazing. She really is.
And I think that's
Okay, so I'm Dr. Natalie McGill. I'm the coordinator of elementary special ed, but I will be going over the dyslexia slides tonight because Miss Powell is moving her daughter into college, and so I know she's enjoying that time with her. So we told her we had her. So here we go. So she trained and did some professional development. She attended all the dyslexia training sessions at Arch Ford and supported her interventionist that also attended. She attended and supported the District Leadership Institute and the RTI manual rollout. Attended and supported the BUILD, which is the new K-1 dyslexia intervention. She attended that training of the second cohort of interventionists. And so all of her elementary interventionists, except for 2, are now trained in the new BUILD program. So that's great. She inventoried and ordered all the materials for BUILD and the Wilson Reading System. She grouped every secondary student that receives dyslexia services to ensure that the ones that were here last year will pick up where they left, and our new incoming students will be ready in a group that fits them the best on day 1. Planned and scheduled PD and required training for the upcoming school year. Attended all the interviews for the open dyslexia positions. And every time I talk to her, she's talking to me about the new changes in the dyslexia law. So here's what she said about that. So she collaborated with other district dyslexia coordinators on the new law, updated procedures that the new dyslexia law requires of us, which is reporting quarterly on student progress. So we have to do it instead of 1 or 2 times a year. Now it's every 9 weeks. Reporting on student progress in the program and student progress towards grade level. Scheduled training for new interventionists to ensure fidelity of the program. Updated the district website with the current Act 1039 reporting. There are 945 students that received dyslexia last year. 234 students were placed for services based upon referral and assessment data.
Okay. Great job, ladies.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, ladies.
Yep. The last 2, take us home.
I'm sorry. Good evening, Board President, Board members, and Dr. Paluski. So let's get going. Oh, good. I was hoping they didn't put it all together.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm so sorry. I am Shonda Macon.
I know we all know you.
The coordinator of school innovations. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to present about all the fun things that's been happening this summer. So let's start with the first thing that happened was our very first Ag Vet camp at North Little Rock 6. That was amazing. I included the UAM, which is one of our partners. They did a whole press release on the camp, and the students got a chance to visit farms. I had to learn not to show up at farms with sandals on, so I'm learning. Yeah, the BB Vet Tech School, which is another partner, that was amazing. North Little Rock Community Garden, I can't say enough about what they do. I spent today at North Little Rock 6 with Jeff cleaning out the garden, so I have bugs all over. I did earlier, all over me, but it's good. They 4-H as well as drones, so it was a week packed full of activities. I went to the another partner, Line College, groundbreaking ceremony for their veterinarian college. So we look forward to working with them, preparing for our community advisory board meeting. This is really big because all of the partners, right now we have 25 partners at North Little Rock 6, which is amazing. And these are partners that are fully engaged, fully on board, and happy to be there. So we will be meeting with them late August, the end of August or 1st of September, so we could plan Ag Day, Vet Day, other activities that we'll be doing at North Little Rock 6. So I'm excited to share that information with you guys. Also planning for the outdoor classroom at North Little Rock 6. So I've been told that first quarter we will get started with that. So we're super excited about that. District theme presentation on theme schools, district leadership, presentation on the theme schools. I assisted with the presentation. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there to present, but it was a nice presentation, and we got some really good feedback from the principals that attended on some ideas that they might want to consider for their theme schools. I also attended the Arkansas, the AGFC team building experience. Oh, I'm sorry, that is tomorrow. So tomorrow, another partner, Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, we are taking the whole North Little Rock 6 staff fishing tomorrow. We're also going to be doing archery. We're going to have lunch, so you guys can come over for lunch if you like. At 12:30, so that's going to be fun, and then we'll turn it back over to what Ms. Harrison has planned for them. So excited about that. I attended the Farm Bureau Elementary Agriculture Education Pilot. That's one of the pilots that we got. Their professional development, a lot of shout outs. Dr. Wilson was there with me. A lot of this, I just can't say enough of how much that man works and what he does at North Little Rock 6. So thank you to Dr. Wilson for that. Arkansas Department of Ag Farm to School Institute initiative, that was another professional development and another pilot that we're working with. Dr. Wilson, along with 5 people, attended that. I was here working with some other things at the district, but I look forward to continuing that work with Leslie Tell and Dr. Carmichael. So that's exciting. Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, this is new. North Little Rock 6 is going to be a part of their generation conservation. So that's the outdoor classrooms. That is the governor's initiative. So we are a part of that. I'm excited about that. We have a summit November the 5th and 6th, so we will be attending that summit. USDA Chef Challenge Healthy Flavors Pilot Program. Let's talk about that. North Little Rock, first of all, the Healthy Flavors and the Chef Challenge are working with 2 different states, Arkansas and Tennessee. There are 10 schools that were selected in Arkansas, 10 schools that were selected in Tennessee. I am proud to announce that North Little Rock School District have 8 of those schools. That's awesome. So, yes, out of 10 in the state. And it's really huge. So I spent this week really, I think, kind of chasing you guys because the program manager, Karen Brazil, and Chef April were here, and they wanted to meet with the faculty and staff. And I was able to meet with at least 6 of the schools with them. So the excitement that we see is going to be exciting. Be ready to hear all about butternut squash and purple whole peas. And that's all I'm going to say right now until we come back and finish that. But it was an honor to be selected because I would tell you other school districts, neighboring school districts, as well as some that are not neighboring, they wanted to be selected. So kudos to North Little Rock for getting that. That also includes a lot of free publicity and free marketing. So exciting. School and community garden growth application. Oh, those are 2. That's one of the grants that we'll be hearing about another time. And I attended several of the Connecting Economic Industry, which is Economic Arkansas Professional Developments, just to stay on top of what's happening in the business world. North Little Rock 6, the last thing, we are working on our ambassador program and what that's going to look like. So pretty soon you will see those little ones with their lab coats on with the North Little Rock 6 logo, and they will be giving the tours for the school and having those conversations. Finally, I am working on a sustainability plan, and that's for North Little Rock 6 because I will start moving to the other schools, but I want to make sure that North Little Rock 6 is going to be sustainability plan will be in place, so all the hard work will not go for naught. Now, another...
Sorry, I stretched your thing into 2 slides.
No, thank you, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Another exciting thing is as we talk about the academies, North Little Rock School District is now wall-to-wall academy. So shout out to Dr. St. Louis, the academy coaches, the academy teams, all the hard work that's taking place right now at the high school. This is really huge for us because we're being noticed across the United States for what we're doing with the work with the academies.
So that's awesome. I spent a lot of time meeting with Academies of Central Arkansas. Those are the team leads from the other 3 districts. As we're looking at the annual review planning, that's when Ford NGL will come down and talk to us about where we are, the sustainability of the program, and where we stand. So I will tell you, and I'm happy to say that North Little Rock is in very good standings. We're also working on the annual report, and North Little Rock, once again, is in very good standings with that annual report that will be released soon. We're waiting on some of our other counterparts to finish putting their data in, and then that report will come out. But we have some amazing stats and some numbers, and I can share just a little bit of that. For the career fair last year, the high school had 337 freshmen that attended, COE 85. We had 92% of high school students that completed a college visit. COE had 95%. Industry tours, which is 10th grade. High school had 278 students that attended a tour, and COE 118. Job shadowing, those are juniors. High school has 72 that attended and 35 from COE. Industry certifications, which is always huge because that's our plan, is to make sure they're future ready. So high school ended up with 572 industry certifications and COE 189. For our students that had advanced placement exams of 3 or higher, the high school had 170 students, COE 58, and the college credit hours that our students gained, high school 696 hours and COE 168 hours. That is huge, and that's the work that's being done at the high school. So once again, kudos to Dr. St. Louis and the faculty and staff at the high school. I attended the Academy Coach training, so we wanted to make sure that the Academy coaches were just getting a refresher course that was through Ford NGL. We had ambassador training. That was really fun. The ambassadors are going to be amazing. I look forward to working with them. The Academies of Central Arkansas District Lead Freshman Academy Career Exposure Planning. The career fair is going to be November the 12th, and you guys will get an invitation if you would like to come. It's really amazing to watch that in action. I also participated in the Ford NGL District Transformation Leader Circles and the Academy Coach Circles. I like to learn what other communities, Ford NGL communities, are doing so we can bring some of that work back to Arkansas and back to our academies. North of our school district academy training, there's a lot of training that took place this summer with the high school, just getting them prepared for teaming, getting them prepared for their small learning communities, because unlike other schools, we have to do SLCs as well as PLCs. Would love for you guys to pop in on some of those SLCs so you can see what they're doing and the work that's being done with the team lead training, as well as the Academies 101 for the new teachers, the onboarding process, and just refreshers. And freshman academy training. So Earth, Wind, and Fire is going to be really busy this year, and it's going to be fun. And the last thing is the academy support meetings. I continue to meet with Dr. St. Louis and the academy coaches every weekly so we can make sure the work is where it needs to be. And that is it.
Ms. Macon, can you tell what the award was that you got? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Redis. So I received the honor of Arkansas Teacher of the Year from the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission. They, in turn, partnered with NBA, Summer League, and Tomorrow Stars. So I got a free flight to Vegas and spent 3 days in Vegas, got the award during the halftime, and got to go on the floor, watch the game. So it was just really exciting to just see all of that and witness that. So it was a huge honor, and I'm just super excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you for asking.
Take us home.
I'm here.
Dr.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for having us here this evening. So we're going to start talking about our Virtual Learning Academy. Can you believe it? We're starting year 6 of our program, and it's still going really strong. So throughout the summer, I've worked with parents and students, answering questions or anything they may need, working with get their schedules ready. The number has changed slightly from this since I've turned it in. We're at 84 right now. At the close of registration, which is a nice amount, but we may end up with some more, different situations. And of course, we'll take new enrollments in January
the second semester. Worked with counselors to make sure our schedules are created for our virtual students. I've created all the new student accounts in our Pearson platform, and I manually enter all of their schedules as well. I provided professional development for all of my virtual teachers this week, and I've been in the professional development with them every single day. Also worked with the high school teachers that teach health and credit recovery. They came over for some professional development as well, making sure all their classes are ready. And provided orientations, which is where I was this evening. We had orientation until 6 o'clock and came over here, and then I'll have it again in the mornings. We have 2 opportunities for the parents. We had a huge group out at the academy this evening for their orientation, picking up Chromebooks, just learning how we do our program, and we'll do it again at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's my piece on virtual. I'm going to go ahead and switch gears and talk about the assessment. So Dr. Paluski and Dr. Stoll and I met earlier in the summer and revised our school improvement templates based on the new ESSA formula. So because there's different pieces that the schools need to work on. Created our official district testing calendar based on the calendar provided for DESE. I presented the testing data and the new school improvement templates at our district leadership. Also provided them information on these beginning of the year screeners and beginning of year testing we have to do. Compiled and analyzed our advanced placement data, which Ms. Macon just mentioned, but it looks really good. Kind of a preview there before I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to present that to you all. Compiled and analyzed all of our ATLAS testing data as well, which I presented at our Leadership Institute, and I've also presented to our other district leaders. I've also had preschool training for all of our building test coordinators. We have to start on August 11th, and we have 30 calendar, not 30 school days, to do all the K-3 screeners. So that's a big chunk, and I want to have them ready to go day 1. They are ready, and they have to have those done by September 9th, so which is quick. I just this week attended our beginning of the year district testing coordinator training with DESE. Also included the training about how to do corrections in the test portal. It says it's completed. Again, I'm kind of like Dr. Thomas. I think I scooted a little ahead. That's still a work in progress. It's not completed yet. So that's just a small thing there. And had another training today on some more stuff with those screener data. So just moving right along with all of the testing pieces.
We're good.
Thank you.
I just want to thank all of them, everybody that presented. I know that's a lot of information, but this is what we do. We're in the business of teaching and learning, and I want to thank all of you, not only for your collaboration, your hard work. We're ready come Monday, and I appreciate everything that you've done to make this school year successful.
Thank you, guys.
Kudos, ladies. Good job.
I'm sorry. We're down to number 3, governing board policy changes.
So I know as Colonel Stanger comes forward, Madam President, I know these were changes and so forth. So I think if the board wants to go through every single change, we're happy to do that. If not, if you want to have any discussion on those, we're all ears. See what the board would like to do.
The basic changes were the wording when they changed the election from November to March. We had to change that. Electing officers, we normally did it after the election in November. Well, it's not into March. And so those were the wordings. They needed to be changed in our policy.
Yes, ma'am. So there were 7 governing board policies, all the policy numbers that begin with a 1 that actually impact how the board operates, how meetings operate, when elections happen, and individual board members' ethics and duties and responsibilities. There are a few of them, though, based off laws that were passed in the last legislative session that are significant changes most people aren't used to. My recommendation would be just to read those things, then we can come back and I can entertain any questions. Just the methodology behind these things. I'm the one that rewrote them, had to dig into the laws, and then ASBA actually had some recommendations in their model policies for some of these. Not all of them, but some of them. And so I combined them. I had to rewordsmith some of them. So if you want to shoot the messenger, the right target's sitting in front of you. There was nobody else. But there are some that are significant changes, and there's a few that are pretty technical. One of the laws, they really go into some what ifs. So especially with filling board vacancies and a couple other things. If there's a millage vote that year, if you're coming out of state, board control, that kind of stuff. It's in there in case that scenario was to ever happen. It won't happen certainly for the next 2 years. It will not happen in the March election. Past that, who knows? So it's in there in case those scenarios were to ever arise. If you look at these things, you'll see where all the changes are in red and underlined, and if I deleted something because of a law change, it was struck through, but the original wording is still in there. So none of these are brand new. What I did is I took the existing ones and took the law changes and then either edited and or added those additions in there. There was 110 laws passed this year. You think for a state that wants small government, they sure like to overregulate education. And 93 of them will have some impact on the school district. Not all 93 of them have to require policy change, thankfully. But these definitely do, and it went and started with the top, which were the governing board policies. My recommendation would be, once this is digested and any edits and or changes that the board desires wants to be put in there, we can do that. But the board needs to vote on these things prior to November, because in November really starts the timeline for the election that will be held in March. There's some filing periods and some other things that are definite changes, and we've talked about those, but it should be in our policy so anybody else out there, any other possible candidates or whatever, realize that here's the changes. And there was one particular policy that the edits put in were changes from an existing law that should have been in there in the past. Don't know why it wasn't. Were we following it? Yes, we were, but it just wasn't listed there, and it adds clarity to that policy. So I included in that. That was not a new law change. It was a previous one that, for whatever reason, just was not in that policy to begin with.
Ms. Timble, do you have any questions?
Just a comment. I've read all these, and I don't know where we'd put it, if it needs to be a separate policy or if it should be in the ethics policy, but something about school board members and social media. We need to address that at some point.
If it addresses the board, ma'am, it needs to be in one of the governing board policies that start with a 1. It could be completely new, or we could add that for simplicity's sakes into the ethical one. Because once you read the policy for board ethics, you'll see where new law did kick in with that and some of the new training that was included into it. So adding that into it would be the easiest edit to make.
If that's the will, we can draft some stuff and yes.
When you bring it back,
okay.
Add that to the, I would say, the ethics.
Sure. I'm throwing it out there.
The ethics policy would be the most logical and easiest one to do, because that one really governs individual board members and what they do and what they're supposed to do, or in some cases not supposed to do.
If you bring it back and include it in.
Sure.
In the ethics.
Can do, ma'am. Yeah. Can do.
Did you have
Now, I just noticed, just now saw it, or I would have already told you, but I think on that particular policy for ethics, number 17 should have a not in there. Just shall not.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take that feedback.
I should have described the box that this happened in. So the formatting is not our board format, our policy formatting. And that number 17 is a renumber because you can see where the ones that were scratched out, because in 17 with the new law it encompassed that, so it would be redundant. The formatting of it will be changed, because even if I was to format it exactly right now, as soon as we load into board docs, it gets real wonky anyway, and so we'll just load it up in our typical format once the board says this is final.
Ms. Wonka?
I do. 1.02, the board organization vacancies, the election of officers. In red, it says the board shall elect the following officer positions: president, vice president, secretary. The legislative liaison was one that was added for a prior board member, no longer here.
I thought we took that out.
I thought we did too.
Well,
I think it was recommended that we add that, yeah.
So it's recommended.
It's recommended we
to
have
put
that.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
to
That's what
put it in there.
to put it in there.
Because I thought we removed it.
We
We
have to
have.
go back, but I do remember
We did.
that
So
we,
that one's by the current law change. The law doesn't say shall do it, but the ASBA's recommendation based off the law change to put that in there. So at the bottom of some of these drafts, at the bottom of them, I've included notes that would not be part of the policy, but it helps explain the rationale of, why the change was added based off a law or based off an ASBA recommendation. The position of secretary is another one that's in there. So, and you'll notice the parliamentarian, why it's in there, it's for different reasons. So those changes are in there. They can be edited out because it's not based off the law, but it's certainly based off the recommendation. And the notes at the bottom kind of explain some of that, or at least attempt to.
So, piggybacking off of what she said, just for clarity, so can it be where there is a specific line item that says these are the positions that we will elect, if that makes sense?
Yes, ma'am. If it's the board's will that nope, Northwest School District does not want a legislative liaison on the board, we can simply strike that.
But in a way that we have the option that maybe 6 years down the line we see that we have to have. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
You see what I'm
We
saying?
can.
So if it's already there,
we can do that.
then we can come back and say, well, we have that option this year. That's what we want.
All I have to do is
That makes
change one word from shall to may, and that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
That
yeah,
was-
because
that's
as you
really
recall, when the board decided not to, and then Colonel Stanger has taken on that responsibility of making sure that we're legislatively updated. So as long as we have it covered, I think, but in the essence of just change that language, that you may have that.
That's a one-word change.
Yep.
So we'll know which ones we shall do and which ones we could do.
Yes, ma'am.
There we go.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. That's the only thing I noticed. Everything else looks good. I read through them, so yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Just one point of clarity, Madam President, as Colonel and I were going through this, in 1.01A, the qualifications of elected members, you'll see all that where it says candidate, thanks to Colonel that got into law. We did not have all that, but that is a requirement by law that the individual meets all those. And you'll also see must never have been convicted, plead guilty. And as we've gone through is how would you know that if you didn't have a background check? So if you look at the last one, must have completed a criminal background check and child maltreatment, even though that is not a law, we thought that would be a good recommendation because everybody that's associated with the school district has to have a background check and a child maltreatment. So I just wanted to point that out, that as we were going through, it's like, well, how would you know that unless you didn't have a background check?
That's the policy I referred to, that that list of qualifications was not listed in our policy for whatever reason, and that's an older law. That's not due to the recent changes. One would think that somebody running for school board, because that law covers every elected official in the state, from the governor, constitutional offices, all the way down to the way it's stated in the law is municipality subdivisions, which is a school board. All have to fall in those categories that are listed in that policy now. It's just a repeat of the law. You would think that people would know, but if they don't, as soon as somebody's elected, you would do a background check, or the school district would do a background check, and then the board would know if somebody was in violation of that. If that was the case, I haven't seen it, but if that was the case, it would automatically trigger after the election a vacancy. Then a couple other laws would kick in. So that would have to be followed. So you'd want to know that before the board actually seats that new member, because that will cause a cascading effect that will have to be dealt with.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I read it, I thought, I don't think I don't think we've done that as a
Ever.
board, and I think we should.
haven't.
Yeah,
It probably should be
it's-
done annually, like, or as often as we do it.
So
with-
we have to do it
Every 5 years?
Correct. So when we do our licenses, you know, all of us that have a license, you've got to do it every 5 years, as Mr. Smith said. So we're required to do that by law. So
We have, in following all the other associated laws that tie into that, access to schools, we do it with every volunteer that we have. If you're a band booster and you want to get in and you're the
I've had one on file for 10 years. I want everyone to know.
we have to do that to include, the Raptor system picks up certain categories of.
Well, I would say the easiest thing to do is because we serve 4-year terms. So before, if you happen to be reelected, then you do it at your election time.
Or
would you
if-
like
if-
us to add that have them out at every
Election,
just to be
when you're reelected.
Okay.
Okay.
We can add
Sure.
that, but the real intent is to catch it up front.
Yeah.
But
Well, one way to catch it up front will answer this question then. How long does it take?
to do a background check.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Oh.
it's, yeah,
10 days to 90 days.
yeah.
depending on how backed up the
It's
state
pretty
process.
it's pretty quick.
Then I
The
would say,
An ACIC check and child maltreatment check in the state of Arkansas, we can do it in an hour. If it's an NCIC check, which is nationwide, that takes a little bit longer.
I would say, I'm just thinking
follow the state.
hypothetically that we follow the state and guidelines, and typically what would happen, the election is in March. After that first week and everything is certified, the person would be sworn in before the first regular board meeting in March. But right before you have that time
Sure.
to do your background check
Yes, ma'am,
before
I
you're
would-
sworn in for that next meeting.
I would do it before they're sworn in. Mhm.
We'll add that.
So just to comment on that, I support that, but here's my caveat, my question, my concern. So hypothetically, I've had one on file for 10 years. I do it every year because I'm a volunteer in the district. It's no secret, I was a foster family for 5 years, so we had to do it every year. And I'm not looking for us to spend additional money, but what happens if I write a hot check, and that's a felony, but I serve on the board? And so now, because every 4 years we're checking it, and you didn't catch my 3rd year or 2nd year sitting on the board, hot check, and who writes checks? But you see my example. You know, we all swipe
So we
cards
can-
these days.
right,
But
right.
you see my example there. So that
So
would be
let
a
us-
conversation
Yes,
maybe
ma'am,
you need to have.
whatever frequency the board desires, we can write that in there.
So let us, I think, have a discussion with legal counsel, Mr. Beckett, and see what he recommends, and we'll change the language or draft it for your recommendation.
That's fine.
Works for me.
Good job, Colonel.
I don't think annually is too much.
I mean,
Just
we
like
ask that of our
volunteer.
volunteers.
Yeah.
I think we
They
should
are.
lead by example and put ourselves out there. So, my 2 cents.
Okay. Any other questions for Colonel? We got our
Nope.
marching orders,
Yep.
so to speak.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Okay.
Do we have any chocolate in the back? I'm fading.
Yes, I think we do. It's Pat's office. We'll find something. Okay, well, Mr. Brown, we'll kind of round us out with an update on our budget workshop, kind of where we are.
I may need to get up and stretch my legs for a minute, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, do your thing.
Thank you. Sitting for 3 hours is not my cup of tea.
Right, Dr. Paluski, members of the board. What I've done is brought, when we met on the savings, July 17th, you all gave some feedback, some items to remove from this list. So what I've done is consolidated this and created a new bucket. We removed all the things that you all went list by list and asked us to remove. And what I'll do is keep this as a live document. So this link that's on your board agenda, I will include in your weekly board report.
Awesome.
And as we update numbers, as anything we do, this will be a live document, and you all will see the changes as we made. So what here, we removed the items you all asked us to do. We've also went back and added an FY25 line. If you recall, it went through FY24 on the expenses for these particular categories, and so we went in and added the FY25 line on each of these. I've also added some additional information in some of the categories, and I guess what we'll do, I guess the one down here at the bottom, the ALE line. Of course, this information that was in the revenue, the ALE funding per student, this was here, but there was a discussion there about additional funds from the state being available for ALE students. So I've introduced this information here. So our ALE for FY25, our ALE source of funding was $823,000. And then there was a question about additional funds, that the regular student foundation funds that are also tied to ALE students. Their FTE was 130, so we took the 130 times the $7,771 per kid that's in the general funding category, and that totals to $1.8 million. So the total revenue, 100% of the revenue for ALE we received is $1.839 million. And you can see our expenditures there were $2.55 million. And I'll point out that the student foundation funding is a combination. So we don't get 100% of the student foundation funding and all of our tax dollars. That is, the student foundation funding is a formula that's in place to guarantee that we receive the value of 98% of our tax dollars on our first 25 meals. That's how that's the student foundation funding. So the money that we receive from student foundation funding and ALE should go to cover the entire program. What I have here, the expenses I have here, are just the salary and fringe of staff. So that doesn't include the operation of the buildings. It doesn't include money to pay maintenance staff, technology staff, the light bill, the gas bill, those type of things. So I wanted to show that this particular program, there is a funding gap here between revenue and expenses that we just need to explore. But as I add additional information on each of these lines, this will be a live document. I'll include it in your weekly board reports. We'll cover it as we cover the budgeted items here as well. Do you want me on this particular consolidated list?
Is this the first year that we've had this big delta between the two?
No, sir.
It has always been that way?
Yes, sir.
Is there a particular reason why?
What was the question? I didn't understand. I'm sorry, say it again.
The ALE budgeted money that we get has not covered the program.
Correct.
There's been a couple of years where it has. It's just the ALE FTEs, the number of students has decreased over time.
Okay.
And so there's been some years where we've had an FTE of 200, and then there's been, right now our FTE is 130. So you're funded based on the number of students you serve. So we just have to be mindful that as our student population fluctuates, so do our expenses need to fluctuate with that.
And there's some fixed costs associated with that.
Yeah, I'm telling, what about the fixed cost?
You're talking a building.
Yeah. Is the building too big?
That's something that we're looking at.
Go ahead and shake your heads.
We have.
So, yeah, and we were just out there, as a matter of fact, and we were just talking about that, right?
Yeah.
It was a middle school, I think, at one time. So, but it begs the question, then where, right? So we know that we have a need of our most vulnerable students. I think we've all talked about looking at that space, that our kids deserve a better space. Then it becomes where, and then how would we use that space? I've always been an advocate of the redesign of alternative education. We just were all out there and talked to the staff. I think there's a concern that we're going to dissolve it. That would certainly never be my recommendation, to dissolve ALE. We need ALE on a lot of different levels because some of our kids simply just need a smaller environment, to be successful. The Fusion program you just heard that got started out there, which is pretty cool that they're going to present on that statewide. So I think that's a larger conversation as it relates to our construction facility priorities as we go forward. Now, it would be ideal if, because I know if you look at the spreadsheet that Mr. Brown put, we have contingencies. We have about $10 million in contingencies. Hopefully, we're going to come, on time and under budget, and there could be some cost savings there. And then I would recommend of using whatever's left over to consider a new facility that would be more effective and efficient to serve our students.
Well, I think part of it is the staff, it's just, there's a lot of staff out there, a lot of staff. And I don't know if, I'm not an educator, so I don't know if it really requires that much staff, or is it because of the fluctuation that you just staff up and then staff down. But
it does change. The staffing does change as certainly the year goes on. As you know, we've a lot of our expulsion here, before we get to expulsion, our change of placement happens every single Wednesday, and the most often recommendation is ALE. Many of our students that had been fighting in their offense when they're in an immediate change of placement, that's exactly where they're going unless it's virtual. We need those programs. Now, do we always need to continue to look at our staffing? Absolutely, 100%. And continue, but we also have to serve the students that we're here to serve.
Okay. And then another note I would point out is the notes column C. We've added some more detail here based on some of the questions we've received at the board meetings. So in particular, like just for an example, line 6, where we have the 245-day contracts, I've included a description. There was a question at one of our board workshops that asked, well, what are the categories of employees that this would apply to? And I've taken the information there and placed it in there, and then there was an exemption as well. So this particular amount includes people from all these categories that are greater than or equal to 245-day contracts, with an exemption of custodians and maintenance. So we've added more detail there, more description to hopefully get that. And then I think on the holiday pay line, there was a question about how many employees and what categories they were. We've added that detail there for you as well.
I can chime in on the 245-day where it says also child nutrition. That's a different bucket of money that pays for that kind of stuff. So, and now I'll just say this since we're talking here in a workshop, you're really talking about the lowest of these. That's a tough one. And there's separate
salary.
Buckets of money.
Correct. That's why you just can't say a blanket 245 because it encompasses more than just, which is your point.
Exactly, sir. Yep.
Okay.
So do we have any employees that are not teachers are on the teacher's pay? Teacher salary?
Right, that's only for licensed staff.
Yeah.
Right, so we don't have, if you're not a licensed staff or a teacher on that particular, if you qualify in the license category, if you hold a license, we'll take that, Mr. Brown. I mean, in that category, but we also have others that maybe require a license, like nursing and all that. They've got their own salary lane when you look at all of those. But that is the one that's based off, and you'll see in that bottom category where there's percentages. For an example, if you were a director that's under there and you hold a license, that would be your salary that you would start off your base and then get the 20%. But it's based on, it's based on.
So we don't have it. We don't have that anymore.
We
We
do.
We do.
We do.
Right. So, and I think that's been part of our discussion, remember, over the last several workshops, is what we would like to do is move away and have our own separate salary schedule for
That's what I was
executive
leading to.
staff, so that, just to your point, is, on that teacher licensure, that's the salary schedule for those individuals, or licensed staff.
But not just that, other positions as well, because, I mean, there's like security. Security, this is how much we should pay for security, and we shouldn't have to pay someone on a license schedule for that. That job should be on a separate schedule. And we've
It
had
is.
a bunch, I know it
It
is
is,
now,
yeah.
but
And
we've
we've
had a
moved-
bunch like that, like the HR position, that should
Correct.
be a classified.
It is now.
and,
That's right. Actually,
you know,
with the HR, since I've been here, we've cleaned all that up. Remember, and God rest Dr. Tyler, but his was on the classified. He was on the licensed side, but his job was on the classified side. So we've moved that over. Chief Finks, we moved that from. It was on a licensed side as a coordinator. We moved that over. So Mr. Smith's position was the last one that was really a classified, but it was on a licensed scale. So we have moved and migrated all that over.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
time.
I'm of the position that if it doesn't require a degree for the job, if the requirements are this and that's what we're paying for, we shouldn't have to pay for a doctorate for something that it doesn't require. I mean, it should be on a separate schedule. No offense to anyone with a doctorate, just.
As you look at the guy beside you.
So,
Man,
just for,
we're eventually going to get there. One of our longer term projects is to come up with a salary grid. So board members, when it comes to votes and whatever, you can look at it. So it would be like, here is what's on the executive schedule. Here it is on, and not by days. You start counting days, it starts hurting your head, and then you
Right.
wind up with
Magic math.
I'm talking about positions.
Yeah,
Correct.
just by positions.
Just
correct.
like you see on the classified, where you got to see it,
Right.
the chief is there. It's very
And so
clear
you-
in that
You
lane.
can look at it and know
We'll get there.
exactly what it is, and
Yep.
not have to do all that magic math that.
So for clarity, because I know it's getting late and my brain is kind of fuzzled. So for clarity on that, my question is, what you're working on will help to decide, because we talked about that at the last workshop, that if we decided we're going to give $1,000 bonus, but we don't want to give it to this particular section, we would be able to do that because everybody wouldn't be all jumbled up together.
Yes, ma'am, that's the intent. It's the intent to make easier decisions.
Got it. Mr. Taylor.
So, see, I needed to ask.
I'm
it
sorry,
right
but I
then.
had to. It's late and
Yeah.
fibro brain is kicking in.
Okay. So, if we get the salary schedule right, are there potential for savings?
Yeah, there are potential for savings.
Absolutely.
So for an example, one of the things that, if you recall, during the last several budget discussions where there is a percentage, so assistant superintendent is on a licensed schedule, and there is a certain percentage to that. There was a discussion with the board about possibly reducing that percentage that an individual would get. That would be a cost savings. When we get there, I would caution us to that, because I think when you look at positions like that, you have to compare those positions similar in other school districts, and are we comparable? And remember, those are jobs that are not 9 to 5. They're 24/7, 365. I just think those are things that have to be considered.
So, yes, sir. So if you look at it and you do it through basically an attrition model, or trying to bend the future cost curve, when you have separate salary grids, so you've got the executive level, you've got all the way down to the brand new entry level child nutrition cafeteria worker. Bending it in the long term cost savings, instead of sitting back there and say, well, let's do a very hard, unpopular, or whatever choice that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and let's cut some days, or let's cut whatever. What you do is you just pluck. We're talking executive level in this example. You pluck it out and set it aside, and okay, they don't get a raise.
Correct.
Everybody else does, but if you don't want to pay the top dogs of the raise, you set them over to the side, and you can see exactly what they're making. Over time, their salaries will stagnate. And when you stagnate anything, that's a budget savings. You just do it over time, looking to bend a future cost curve, as opposed to if you're going to do it right then and now, the next thing you're going to wind up biting into, in case we run into another hole, another shortfall in funding, another from the state, the feds, or whatever. Now you're going to start eating into actual staff numbers. And where we've chopped with this last reorg, you know, we're going to start talking about, I'll just say it, cutting teachers, something that nobody wants to do. So you've got two choices, philosophically, to save that kind of money.
You want to just hit?
The last thing I want to point out, if you'll notice at the bottom of that consolidated bucket, there is a link that says questions, answers, comments from the July 17th. We have, my staff went back and made notes from that meeting, and they're all listed there. I believe there's probably 6 pages of notes, and of course I'm not going to read all those to you. You were there, you participated in it, but they're there for the public to review if they didn't see that particular meeting and they don't want to watch the whole thing. These were comments that were made during that meeting, questions that were asked, answers that were given, and direction that was given.
And also for the public, this isn't what we're about to do tonight or even the next meeting. It's a working document that we requested to happen so that when the time comes to make decisions, we are already armed with the information.
That's correct.
So don't call me saying you just cut my longevity. That's not the case. These are all areas where we could possibly save. This is a working document.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am. And some of these could even take effect until the next fiscal year, even if the board decided to.
I just had to put that out there because that's going to be the phone call.
Correct.
You just couldn't. You just cut me.
Nobody's correct.
That's not what we're doing. We asked for this information so that when it's time, we can make good decisions.
And I just want to add to that. Remember that we're going to next month we will close out. We'll approve this budget, which we're in good shape because we do our reorganization to make sure that we had the $5.1 million. But remember, as the board, the first discussions, as we get all this, the discussion is we all want to give everybody a raise. And so we're all in agreement with that. Then it's going to become how big of a raise are we going to give and what is that magic number? And then we'll go after how we're actually going to do that. Does that make sense?
Which it does, which brings the question of the discussion of a possible bonus. When will we have that information?
Sure.
To know, so we can come up with a dollar amount for a possible bonus this year.
Yeah, so remember when, and where we are right now, Brown and his staff, we're getting ready to close out in August, and if you remember, he wanted to close out those books in August, so by the beginning of September, as we go into approve this budget, he's going to have a pretty good idea on how much of a bonus, 1,000 or 1,500 for every employee, or an exempt of a group of employees. Also at the same time, and I'll just leave this caveat, is we've met with Ms. Stumpenhouse. I know we went back and forth with stipends. We've just recently met with them. Mr. Brown is in the process of verifying those numbers. The administration supports the recommendation of the stipend index for non-athletic and athletic. So once Mr. Brown finalizes that, it's going to go to the LPPC for a vote, and then that will come back to the board. So we're probably going to be in the same time frame that in that first part of September of knowing how much for a bonus and then how much is it going to cost to implement the stipends and the non-stipends.
So the stipends and the bonus, when we get the information back,
Yes.
will be for this year.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Yes.
Gotcha.
They are two separate animals, so everybody watching understands that. But it will be, the intent is to do it this year, right?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
As soon
I'm sorry,
as
Mr. Smith.
possible.
Is there something you want to add?
One caveat. Now, the bonus, yes. The stipends, maybe.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna follow up with.
Thank you.
The stipends have to be approved by LPPC. So assuming LPPC approves it
Correct.
and brings it,
Correct.
then that would be
That makes
something implemented this year.
Gotcha.
Let's say LPPC doesn't approve it, but the board says we want to continue, you all could approve it, and it would have an implication, it would have a implementation of July 1,
Next year.
2026.
For next year.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And the last possibility is if the LPPC approved it, but then the board approved it with a forward start date.
Yeah.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? So those
Okay.
are the three
So
options.
Yeah, we'll go over all those
Okay.
options.
Okay.
The last time we talked about it, we talked about implementing it over at a period of time because of the cost of it. So we weren't gonna do it all in 1 year. We were gonna do 20% of it.
Ma'am,
So we do have
looked
that,
at
but
that.
we also have the opposite. If we do that, that's gonna be pretty taxing on the.
So we actually had that discussion. It's still an option to phase it in. LPPC has expressed, or at least the representatives I have talked with, have expressed an interest in it being implemented up front. So that's one of the things I've been talking with them about. There is a pathway to implement that up front, and what would happen is the value of the stipends would be subtracted from the LPPC portion that we would invest in raises going forward. So we're giving them a path forward with a 100% implementation for the first year, but it's still an option to phase it in over time if the board wishes to do that.
Oh, that's just last discussion we
Sure.
had. It was
Sure.
gonna be phased in. And then
Yes.
also, what is this, I thought we were phasing this in next year, and it looks like this, flex time, is that something that's happening? Are we saving this money this school year to reduce the prep time?
No, remember that's a
That's
whole
next year.
discussion, correct, because we've already got schools scheduled, all of that. So if we're gonna make that move, that has to be a decision that we will make early in the fall, so we can prepare for the high school schedule in the following year.
Yes, ma'am, the
So
board
that
would
would
have
be
to
FY
vote and
20.
approve that no later than December of this year.
Okay, all right, because I thought we decided that was a no-brainer, done deal.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where Brian has consolidated, Mr. Brown has consolidated
Yeah.
his list, is these are now the things that we have to discuss about potential cost savings as we build the next
Yeah,
budget.
that goes into the master building process for schedule, and that's gotta be done before December, or before January.
Yes, so Dr. Paluski talked about the license. If you'll notice across the bottom, there's 3 tabs. He's already mentioned the licensed employees staff. I've got a link there to it. Wasn't planning to actually discuss the document. We would just put it in there to give you an update that we're meeting with them and verifying the numbers. It will come back to you at some point if LPPC approves it in its final document. And then the second tab there was a request that I received to actually do a detailed calculation on the savings with the central office reorganization phase 6. So what you'll see there, if you click on it, these are all, I didn't put employee names in here, but these are all lines that are related to either a specific employee or a category of employees. So obviously, if you see 527,000, that's not one employee, that's a category of employees. But the yellow is prior to the reorg. So if you take the way this is organized here, these are all of the salaries by category, and then I've totaled them by fund. And then on the green side, this is after the reorganization. These are totaled up by the new staffing, and then again organized by fund. And if you scroll down to the bottom, the blue, it takes prior to reorganization, after reorganization for Fund 1000, calculates a difference. That's the net savings. So this is a savings by fund. If you'll notice, all of those are savings, except you'll notice that the 6501 is a negative. That means that our new wraparound services, those are categorized for Title I. Those went into Title I. So Title I accepted an expense there, while the other, this particular fund here, 6786 is Title IV. This one, 6795 is ESSER, that went away. So that funding no longer exists. So there was a savings here because the funding didn't exist. Title IV, there was a position tied to Title IV that was reorganized that no longer exists, so there's a savings there. And then the top three are operational. So this bottom line, the bottom two lines are reorg operational savings of 2.4 million, and then the federal expense reorg was 944,000. That's the line that went into Title I. So that,
question on the 1,000, line 1,000.
yes,
So prior to reorg, it was 1 million, right?
1.6 million in salary and benefits.
After reorg, it was 470.
No.
Okay, the savings is 1.1 million.
Yes.
Am I not counting something right?
So here's the 1.1. It's in the blue.
By
the
I
1,000.
got you. I got you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I got you. All right. Okay.
So the blue is the difference between
between the
yellow
two.
and green. The
Okay.
blue is that addition, that
All right.
math for you.
Okay, I'm okay now.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We touched on the stipends that are there
Yes.
as well. There's the link. So
It's just the stipend piece. That ball's in the LPPC's court right now.
Awesome.
A bonus, that ball is in the school board's court. Two separate animals.
Got it. And we will get that total in September.
That's correct.
yeah, as soon
Yes,
as there's,
yes, ma'am. The books will be
September
official.
workshop, I can bring
Just
you.
repeating, because somebody's gonna ask.
September workshop.
The fiscal
first
year's
workshop
books
I
are
can bring you
officially
with.
closed on August the 30th,
Yeah, we
and
think
know
that's our
exactly
target.
what we look like.
That we will clarify the numbers, just to reiterate. Brian and his Mr. Brown and his staff are working on to make sure the proposal, the numbers are accurate by the budget office. Then it'll go to LPPC for their discussion and a vote. The administration supports it. After they take the vote, then it will come to the board for review and discussion, and then the next meeting, or you could do it that meeting. It'll be up to you, but soon. Okay.
Any other questions? All hearts are clear? This workshop has adjourned.